right, fourth graders. This is a little weird because I have to look over there, but it's actually recording here. So we're just rolling with it today. So my distance learning friends, I'm sorry if it doesn't look like I'm looking at you because the smartboard's being silly. Sally doesn't want to work for us today. All right, so we are going to review our homework, friends, and then we will read 2 more chapters, and tomorrow we will finish the book, okay? So get your packet open, and most of you have it open already, to chapter 6. All right, how did little Willie get the money to enter the race? How, Zane?
He took it out of his college savings.
He took it out of his college savings. Good. You might have also used little Willie. Took it out. Either of those are good with me. All right. Number 2. When little Willie stepped out of the City Hall building, he felt 10 feet tall. Why would the author say he feels 10 feet tall? Why would he do that, Claire? Yeah, have you ever? Whoa, that's a bad one. All right, we're just going with it, friends. It's that one.
Oh my god.
It's harder than it looks. What? Have you ever heard that saying? I feel 10 feet tall.
Yeah. Not 10 feet tall. I've heard 6 feet.
6 feet tall.
Well, didn't we hear that
In our last book, yeah, Marty said. Remember, he said I felt as tall as Judd. In our last book, Marty said something similar. Ryan remembered. Can I get a? For Ryan, connecting it to Shiloh. Marty felt as tall as Judd, is similar to feels 10 feet tall. Whenever you're proud, usually what does your body do? You kind of straighten up. You're like, ooh, yeah, look at me. I'm so tall. Okay. All right, good. And number 3, what are Samoids? I know you know this one, Ryan. Ryan, I didn't know I had so many of you in this class. Ryan? Dogs. Let's see if I can do that better. Oh, 4th grade friends, if you have a comment or a question, we raise our hand. We know that. All right. Who could describe Stone Fox? Monica, how would you describe Stone Fox?
Stone Fox is tough, tall, strong, mistreated, but also
Ooh, it's tough, tall, strong. What was the next one? Mistreated, but mean too. Why do you say he's mean?
Just because he doesn't. I feel like he kind of slaps little Willie.
He slapped him, right? That was kind of a mean action.
But also he won't speak to a lot of people, I guess. He doesn't
He doesn't trust the white people, right? Good. All right. Any other things you had to add to Stone Fox? We'll share a few more. Micah?
Kind of disagree because it said that they were peaceful seed gatherers.
They were what?
It said that they were peaceful seed gatherers.
Peaceful seed gatherers. Ooh.
Mean, but he might only be kind of mean for the white people.
Yeah, he was a peaceful seed gatherer. Yeah, I think that's right. That looks right. All right, he was. Yep, I got was on there. He was one. Well,
I know he was though.
I get it.
He is now.
Gotcha. But do you think he still has part of that peacefulness inside of him?
Yeah. He is and he was and
Can somebody be more than one thing?
Yeah.
Remember we talked a lot about this with like Ray and Mom, how they could be like strict but also caring. Can Stone Fox be peaceful but also a little angry?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Is there a movie for this?
How many sleds were entered in the race? Right at the end of chapter 6, it told us towards the end. How many was there? Maddie? 9? What do you think?
Yeah.
It was 9. Why did more not join? Why is there only 9? Lily?
Because I can't remember. I think it was the mayor, but he said he didn't want. It was Little Willie. No, who was it? But someone said, and they said I'm not surprised that everyone wanted to save their money.
Right.
Yeah, that was less
He had Stone Fox.
That was less
Yeah, because Maddie.
It's because Stone Fox joined, so everybody's like, oh well, it's just a waste of money if we just gotta join. So Stone Fox is gonna.
Right, because you have to give the money to join, and the only way you get money is if you win. And has Stone Fox ever lost? No. I'm surprised 9 people even entered. All right, to
That
end.
was probably before.
Yes, but there was kind of rumors that Stone Fox was even going to join, wasn't there?
Yeah, but I bet some of the people
We'll have to
didn't think he was.
maybe. Yeah, it was just a rumor. All right, what was Stone Fox going to do with the money if he won the race? What is Stone Fox going to do? Kateri?
We don't know what he's going to do.
Oh, we do. What is he going to do with it, Adam?
Stone Fox is going to. What Stone Fox is going to do with the money? He is going to get his people's land back and farmland.
Yeah, he's going to get his people's land back. You might say he's going to buy more land. Something along the lines of Stone Fox buying land. Is it different than Stone Fox buying land, Holly? Think through it.
It's about like
Something. Oh, just a question?
it's about like 5. Then like
Oh, the number?
no, not like the number. But if 9 people pay $50, it's only 450. So they think that people who are giving them have to pay $50.
Yeah, they're kind of $50 out of it. So I bet that's also why Mayor Smiley was so mad. He's like, well, not much we can do. All right, let's flip to chapter 7 questions. There was less on this one. All right. Number 1, why did Little Willie go to town? Remember, he had to go to town at night. Brooke, why did he have to go to town?
Because grandfather was out of medicine.
Grandfather needed medicine. Did it sound like good medicine?
No, he said it looks like dirty milk.
It looked like dirty milk, and not chocolate milk. Dirty milk. Just let that sink in for a moment. Ugh. All right. Number 2. Would you have gone into the barn? So pretend you were Little Willie and you heard those dogs like making sounds. Would you have gone into the barn? Why or why not? Okay. What do you think, Rosie?
I would have, but I would like peek my head in to see if there's anything wrong with the dogs. Like if I see anything wrong, then I would say like, is everybody home? And then I would tell them. But if there weren't any noises.
So imagine you're Little Willie and you walk in and don't see anything. Would you keep going or would you turn around? You would turn around. All right. What about you, Ryan?
Probably not. Because you don't know if like there's actually like a really rough person there, and he could actually be trespassing, and you don't know if anybody's in there. And yeah, and then it's like the middle of the night, so I think they have to be dumb to do that.
Yeah, so maybe not because you could be trespassing. It's not your barn. Would anybody go in? Would anybody go in? Amelia, you would? Why would you go in?
I would go in because dogs are
Because you know you heard dogs and you'd go. Would wolves be in a barn, Monica? All right, that one. All right, for this one, 4th grade friends, you should have 2 sentences. You should have your, yes, I would have gone in, or no, I would not have gone in. And then you should have a second one with your reason why. You might have joined the 2 with the word because. All right, what would I do? I probably would have gone like Little Willie to see. And when I couldn't see anything, I probably would have left and been like, well, I don't see anything, then it's not my business.
Because 1, it is nighttime and you can get literally scavenged.
Holy moly. 4th grade friends, our blurting is getting a little out of hand. I don't want to have to take a board piece. Okay? All right, number 3. What did Stone Fox do to Little Willie? What did he do, Christian? He hit him. He did not offer him a Pepsi.
I don't think Pepsi's
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Why? This one is more of an opinion. That why? Why do you think Stone Fox did that to Little Willie? Why did he do that? Isaac? Well, so how would you word this? Well, your answer. Do we just want to say to be cautious? Let's see if you can turn it into a sentence. You can do it. This is a 4th grade skill. Aiden, can you help us out? Instead of saying just to be cautious, how can we change that into a sentence? Well, I want you to help me with this part. Listen to the question. We want to change to be cautious into a sentence. How can I do this? I want to use this part. Because when you're writing 4th grade friends, this is what we don't want to start doing. We want to get away from this. We want to make it into 4th grade. Adam, how would we change this?
I think Stone Fox took a little early because he wanted to be cautious.
You want to use part of it. So I think, because it's an opinion, I think that Stone Fox did that to little Willie to be cautious. That is an acceptable answer. Okay? To be cautious, right? That's the right idea. But we want to start practicing using those full sentences. Thomas?
I think Stone Fox hit Little Willie because it's probably not every day when the kid's who's racing you would come in his house at the middle of the night.
So you think Stone Fox hit Little Willie because he's not used to people coming in the middle of the night?
And because it's kind of weird. Then someone just coming in the night before it, and they're against you.
So because maybe there was an intruder, he hit him because it was an intruder?
I mean, like, he just let there, so he doesn't know.
Yeah, he's not from the city, so he doesn't really know. Claire?
Maybe if Little Willie was coming in to sabotage dogs and stuff, because Little Willie was petting them.
Yeah.
So it's maybe he was trying to
And he's coming in the middle of the night.
Right.
and then so he just didn't know what to do. So the first thing he thought of was to
Yeah, kind of instinct, right? It's the middle of the night. Let's say it's 2 a.m., right? And this person's in there reaching their hand out for your dogs, and you have a big race in a few hours. What's your first thought?
Get away from my dogs.
Get away from my dogs, intruder, yeah. All right. What do you think is going to happen in the race? This one's kind of like an inference. So you might start with I think or I infer. What do you do? What do you think? What do you think? Lily. Actually, Alicia. Sorry, I haven't called Alicia yet.
I think Searchlight might get hurt or something might happen to her
Why?
because they didn't get much sleep.
Because they did not get much sleep. Yeah. Neither Searchlight nor Little Willie got a lot of sleep, so maybe Searchlight's gonna get hurt. Maybe Little Willie is from it. Oh my goodness. We got time for a few. Monica?
I think that Little Willie isn't going to be able to see out of one of his eyes, but since Searchlight knows the track super well, then they're going to win.
So maybe Little Willie's eye isn't even gonna have an effect on it. All right. Are we ready to find out what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
I know.
Let's go.
All right. Let's read chapter 8. All right. The day of the race arrived. Little Willie got up early. He couldn't see out of his right eye. It was swollen shut. As he fed Grandfather his oatmeal, he tried to hide his eye with his hand or by turning away, but he was sure Grandfather saw it just the same. After adding more wood to the fire, Little Willie kissed Grandfather, hitched up Searchlight, and started off for town. At the edge of their property, he stopped the sled for a moment and looked back at the farmhouse. The roof was covered with freshly fallen snow. A trail of smoke escaped the stone chimney. The jagged peaks of the Teton Mountains shot up in the background toward the clear blue sky overhead. Yes, sir, he remembered Grandfather saying. There are some things in this world worth dying for.
No.
What do you think he means by that? Lily?
It's like,
Worth the risk?
yeah,
It's kind of what's worth the risk? In this specific example, what's worth the risk? Monica?
like just like sort of protect like the farmhouse, I guess.
Huh? Think through that example. What are they talking about? A trail of smoke escaped from the stone chimney. The jagged peaks of the Teton Mountains shot up in the background toward the clear blue sky overhead. Yes, sir, you remember Grandfather saying, there are some things in this world worth dying for. What is Grandfather talking about? Ryan?
Maybe it's like stuff that like you want and you're just like dying.
No, he's not saying he's actually dying
I'm
here.
not saying.
Yeah, what do you think, Zach?
Like, it's worth trying, like, really hopeful. Like, if the barn's being destroyed, it's really worth, like, trying really, really hard to save it.
You guys are right, but are we talking about the farm in this paragraph? What are we talking about in this paragraph? Claire?
Is it like it's so
It's so beautiful. To even come see the mountains is worth dying for. That's how beautiful this is, he's saying. Like, it is worth coming here to see it and then die because the mountains are just that stunning. So he's trying to give us good imagery about how beautiful Wyoming is.
Is there a movie on this?
There is a movie, okay?
I was in that
It's medium. All right. Little Willie loved this country. He loved to hike and to fish and to camp out by a lake, but he did not like to hunt. He loved animals too much to be a hunter. Ooh, remind you of anybody? Marty. He had killed a bird once with a slingshot, but that had been when he was 6 years old, and that had been enough. Somebody read ahead. In fact, to this day, he still remembered the spot where the poor thing was buried. He lost in his spots. Little Willie got to town before he knew it. As he turned onto Main Street, he brought the sled to an abrupt halt. He couldn't believe what he saw. Main Street was jammed with people, lined up on both sides of the street. There were people on rooftops and people hanging out of the windows. Little Willie hadn't expected such a big turnout. They must have all come to see Stone Fox. Searchlight pulled the sled down Main Street past the crowd. Little Willie saw Miss Williams, his teacher, and Mr. Foster from the bank, and Hank from the post office. And there were Doc Smith and Mayor Smiley and Dusty the drunk. The city slickers were there. And even Clifford Snyder, the tax man, was there. Everybody. Lester came out of the crowd and walked alongside Little Willie for a while. It was one of the few times Little Willie had ever seen Lester without his white apron. You can do it, Willie. You can beat him, Lester kept saying over and over again. They had a race for youngsters first, and the crowd cheered and rooted for their favorites. It was a short race, just down to the end of Main Street and back. Little Willie didn't see who won. It didn't matter. And then it was time. The old church clock showed a few minutes before 10 as the contestants positioned themselves directly beneath the long banner that stretched across the street. They stood 9 abreast. What does that mean? They stood 9 abreast. Think through, how is the author setting up this story so far? What do you think, Amelia? Lining up side by side. Yep, abreast is another way to say side by side. Stone Fox in the middle. Little Willie right next to him. Little Willie had read all about the other contestants in the newspaper. They were all well-known mountain men with good racing records and excellent dog teams. But even so, all bets were on Stone Fox. The odds were as high as 100 to 1 that he'd win. Not 1 cent had been bet on Little Willie and Searchlight. What happened to Willie's eye? Doc Smith asked Lester. Bumped it this morning when he got up, he told me. Just nervous. Got a right to be. Lester was chewing on his hand, his eyes glued on Stone Fox. Big Indian, he whispered to himself. Although Little Willie's eye was black, puffy, and swollen shut, he still felt like a winner. He was smiling. Searchlight knew the route as well as he did, so it really didn't matter if he could see at all. They were going to win today, and that was final. Both of them knew it. Stone Fox looked bigger than ever standing next to Little Willie. In fact, the top of Little Willie's head was dead even with Stone Fox's waist. Just picture that. Like you standing up and then the person's waist, their hips are at your head. Big person. Maybe not for Monica. Monica might be almost as tall. All right. Morning, Mr. Stone Fox. Little Willie said, looking practically straight up. Sure's a nice day for a race. Stone Fox must have heard Little Willie, but he did not look at him. His face was frozen like ice, and his eyes seemed to lack that sparkle Little Willie remembered seeing before. The crowd became silent as Mayor Smiley stepped out into the street. Miss Williams clenched her hands together until her knuckles turned white. Lester's mouth hung open, his lips wet. Mr. Foster began chewing his cigar. Hank stared out without blinking. Doc Smith held her head up proudly. Dusty took a powerful swig from a whiskey bottle. Clifford Snyder removed a gold watch from his vest pocket and checked the time. Tension filled the air. Little Willie's throat became dry. His hands started to sweat. He could feel his heart thumping. Mayor Smiley raised a pistol to the sky and fired. The race had begun. We will read the next chapter today, but let's take a quick pause.
It's so funny whenever I think of Mayor Smiley, I'm just like,
You want to start smiling, Mayor Smiley. He does seem
imagine he just smiling.
All right. So, find your compare and contrast page, friends.
That's probably the biggest cliffhanger yet.
That is a big cliffhanger. All right. So now we are going to compare and contrast Little Willie and Stone Fox before the race begins. That's why we got to do this before we read the next part. So think through. I'm going to pause my recording while my friends at home try and work on this, and we'll come back in a moment and fill this more out together.